Anyway, enough of that. It's just coming up to 11:15. Gaz with you on BBC Radio Tees. Now, there's a charity from our partner, and there's plenty around doing wonderful stuff. There's not very many that do this specific thing. They rescue horses, and they rescue them right around the region, and they're desperately seeking donations. Now, Here for Horses, they're based near Crook, up in County Durham, and a month's worth of funding left, and that's all. And they've had to stop taking in rescue horses right now because they just haven't got the funds to do so. They're also offering a foster scheme as well, and, you know, you could help look after a horse that they've taken in. It's a wonderful thing that they do, a very, very kind thing they do. And our very own Louise Hobson has been up to visit trustee Wendy at Here for Horses Centre.
Would you like to come and take a look around and visit some of our ponies?
Let's do it. Right.
We started because several of us that are trustees started rescuing ponies maybe even 10 years ago or longer. And I'd been working in welfare anyway, and we realised that there was a gap in the market in this area in terms of a specialist horse charity, and that's how it all began. So we were working with local authorities and the police and the RSPCA, and it just grew from there. So although some of the ponies have come from backgrounds where they have been neglected and have been starved, some are just that the owners have fallen on hard times or have not been knowledgeable enough to cope with the conditions that the ponies might be suffering from. We are struggling financially, as are a lot of people, obviously, and we put a shout out to ask people for support. But the last ponies that we took in were at the end of May, and we've really had to put a stop on taking more ponies in until our financial situation changes. We're lucky that we do have a really good core of supporters. It's just, I think a lot of people actually don't know we exist because we are so young.
How many horses have you got in at the moment then?
There are approximately 20 on the place at the moment. We now have in our care just over 50. Wow. But we have two schemes because we don't believe in sanctuaries per se, in that we feel that horses and ponies need attention. And there comes a point where you can have, they enjoy each other's friendship, they enjoy the freedom that goes with living as a herd, as long as they've got sufficient food and water. But they actually, if they've grown accustomed to human contact, they enjoy it. And there comes a point where you can't offer that on a large scale. And we'd far rather they had a family or a carer to give them that individual care that they deserve. So we have two schemes. One we call the Lonely Pony Scheme, but that applies to whether they're horses or ponies, and people pay an annual fee to have a ridden horse or pony, a ridden or driving horse or pony, and they're responsible for its day-to-day care, and we keep an eye on things, and we're always the owner. But if something happens, and say for instance their circumstances change or the children become disinterested, which sometimes happens, and the pony comes back to us and we find a new family or a new placement for them.
So it's like fostering, really?
Well, it is, but we have a fostering scheme also. The fostering scheme is more for things like Shetland ponies, the little wee ones that sort of are more ornamental, if you like, than anything else, although some of them can be really useful children's ponies. They're often kept as pets. However, they do need careful management, and so we do have a foster scheme where Shetlands usually find themselves, or our younger ponies who are awaiting the time it takes to mature and be ready to start them under saddle and become ridden or driven ponies, and also the more elderly ones that are retired, semi-retired. They go out on a foster scheme where those owners, the requirement is they're responsible for their day-to-day costs, but they don't actually pay us a fee because in essence they're helping us be able to help other horses and ponies, because if we were filled up with ponies like that, we wouldn't have space to take others.
Well, I've just washed Fino's tail, and now I've just moved on to a mane.
Kathryn is a volunteer here. She's been coming for about a month now.
Yes.
This is Fino, who she actually donated £100 so that we would call Fino because it was a favourite name of hers.
I've just started to volunteer here at Here for Horses. Recently retired from work, so I have a few hours a week on my hands.
Oh, lovely.
So this is obviously a really good cause, and I love horses, so here we are.
Realistically, I know you try not to think about it, but If you don't get this money, if you don't get an increase in donations, what happens?
We would literally have to draw it to a close. So it probably would go back to the situation where those of us that had ponies didn't have them, and we'd have to try and find homes for them. I don't have an endless pot of money to help this charity survive. I really don't, and none of the trustees do either. So it's down to 7 volunteers plus a wider community of committee members, but the whole group of us probably is about 15 people who are basically trying to fund the whole operation from month to month. So it is tough. It's a really hard job. And I'm really, really grateful for the supporters that we have so far. What we're after is people just giving £1. £1 makes a massive difference. If 100,000 people gave £1, we're running for the next 2 to 3 years anyway, without any worries.
It is a big worry, and I think a lot in the charitable sector are feeling the same way. Louise up there visiting Wendy from Here for Horses, send her up near your crook. And if you have a story you want to share with us, if you want to get a message out there, if we can help you in any way, shape or form, give us a call. 08000 85 95 95. We're your BBC Radio 2. BBC